Welcome back. It's your host Taiya back with the Vehemence podcast. And today I have the very first track athlete on here today to talk about where she ran track and what she's doing now and what she plans on to do. So, first things is first, state your name and where you're from.
Hello, thanks for having me, Dee. My name is Taiya Shelby from Kansas City, Missouri. I ran track at Vanderbilt University and now running track for Under Armour in Baltimore.
Okay. So, first things first, when did you start running track?
Okay, so I guess officially I didn't start until high school. So, 2018, or sorry, no, that's when I graduated high school. Um, got to high school, so 2015, 16,
Mm-hmm.
14,
So,
15, yeah.
so what made you get into track? So you started such a late point, but you were able to still be successful. What made you
hmm
want to get into track?
Um, That's a great question. Honestly, it was like as crazy as it sounds, we had this like random track meet in like what fifth or sixth grade that they did for fun for all the students. And I remember that was like maybe the one time I was like actually like competitive in a sense like I also played basketball in high school and I didn't really start playing that until like probably 1 year before high school, but before that I was doing like obviously like we did drill team and all that stuff together. I did like cheerleading and all that. I feel like that was the one time when I actually was like competing against other people and it was like just me. So I think in it was like fifth or sixth grade when we had that track meet, I did really well. My parents were really excited. My friends had fun, and then from that point on, I was like, okay, I want to try track in high school. But still, at that point, I didn't think that it was going to be something that like I wanted to do long term. It was just something that I like really enjoyed doing, really enjoyed competing and stuff like that. So I would say like fifth or sixth grade is when I decided I wanted to do it, and then I didn't actually join a team until high school.
Okay. So my next question is after you decided you want to run track, high school, how did high school go? Like what are some of the accolades you were able to do and what did high school look like for you?
Yeah, so I went to Park Hill High School, um, and I started when you did track, like I said, it was my first time joining. I didn't do AAU or anything at that point, so I didn't know exactly like what events I wanted to do. So usually when you start, they kind of just like throw you in anything or like ask you, try a few different events. Um, and so I tried pretty much all the sprints. Like they'd have us do the 100, 200, 400.
Mhm.
Usually you wouldn't be required to go over 400, so I didn't. And then I think I also like at one point I tried long jump, but I literally did it like once and I like missed my race. So they were like, yeah, never mind, we're not gonna do that anymore. So yeah, I think after probably like freshman year, which is kind of like, trial, trying to figure out what events I wanted to do. I think by mid sophomore year, I was very evident that I was a 400-meter runner. So I started to specialize in the 400 as well as the 200 and then like all the relays. Um, I think, gosh, I can't remember each year, but as far as total accolades, we have we won state in the 4x4 like two or three times. I was second in the 400, like in terms of school records. That was one of the records that I was looking to get, but I ended up getting second all time. And then I actually started doing the 800, which is what I'm doing now, which came to a surprise for a lot of people, even myself. It was like my senior year when I started doing it after I'd already, done really well in the four, done really well in the two, got, placed at state, made it to state, did all this stuff in the relays. Um, but I don't know. I guess I wanted something. I don't know if I think it's just because it was a challenge. The 800 was a different challenge than what I was used to. So I
Mhm.
started doing 800. It honestly was one of those things where we went to practice and it was like a time trial, kind of like more of like a conditioning thing. And I did it and I was good at it. My coach was looking at me and I was looking at them and he was like, oh, you got to run the eight now. So I started running the eight and I ended up actually winning state in the 800 my senior year. So senior year, I got third in the 400 and then I won state in the 800 and got the school record. at Park Hill as well, which still stands along with our relay records. And that was that. I didn't when I so I'm sure this is probably going to go into another question, but so I'll wrap it up. But pretty much all of high school, I pretty much did two, 4, and 8. I ended up finishing with the 4 and the 8. Got one state in the 8, and then third in the 4. At 212 for my 800 in high school. My 400 was 55.3, and my 200 was like 25.3, something. I don't know. It wasn't crazy.
Mhm. So after that, what was your recruitment process like, and how did you end up at Vanderbilt?
Yeah. So that's what I was about to try to get into. So my recruitment process, unlike a lot of people, um, at least athletes that are at this stage now, was like very slow. So I did a few different visits. I did some official, some unofficial. I went to visit Nebraska. I visited Mizzou. I visited University of San Francisco, which is like so random, but I just did it anyway. I visited Southern Illinois University. Um, I visited, gosh, I think I visited Missouri State. I visited a lot of different schools, but at the time they were just like schools that were a lot closer to home versus minus that one in San Francisco. But
Mhm.
it wasn't anything like at that point in time, it wasn't like I was super excited about any of the schools. I think it was just like more so going through the process, learning everything there was to know. But I say that to say that my senior year, I say that it goes slow because my senior year, once I started running the 800, at that point, that's when I got a lot of more calls in. And this was before state, but it was just like, I think it was the idea that I was very versatile between all the different events. And so at this point in the season, it was like going on May, and like I had all these different schools interested in me, but I didn't have time to visit all of them at this point because I'm like, I wish that, you guys would have called me, a little bit earlier in the year. Um, so, anyways, one of my coaches back at Park Hill, um, Coach Buford, he was a big help in helping me find all these schools. And so he called up a lot of people. And then I guess one of the schools that reached back out was Vanderbilt University. And at the time, I had no idea what Vanderbilt was, like Nashville, like never been, like I had like no idea. So my coach was like, the school I've been, like they were really hyping it up. I'm like, okay, so what's it about? um, and so then I did my research, and then I took an official visit there. And honestly, it was just kind of like it made sense. I think for me, I didn't want to be too close to home, but I also didn't want to be too far. For the longest, I said I was going to go to Mizzou because that was another, Power Five SEC school, um, and obviously it was close to home. But I kind of once I went to visit Vanderbilt, I kind of like quickly took a turn from there and decided I want to go to Vanderbilt. I love Nashville a lot. I love the city. I instantly fell in love with the city, the coaches, my teammates, everyone there. It felt like a good fit. It was honestly a lot of people that go to Vanderbilt will tell you it's like the best of both worlds because it really is. You get the best academics, so you're in a top 10, top 15 nationally ranked university, and then you're competing um, in the SEC conference. So it's like you get the best of both worlds in terms of academics and the athletic experience. So it was different for me. Obviously, I didn't know anyone there. Didn't never been to Nashville before, so it was a big transition. But obviously, it worked out. I have no regrets. I love the university, and I would do it all over again if I could, for
Okay. So
real.
during your time at Vanderbilt, what was your moment in track that you felt like it was your come to college moment? Like a workout that was really hard, balancing your schedule, anything like.
mm, come to college. Uh, ooh, okay. I'm gonna say big on balancing the schedule and just like the workload and the athletic load as well. So it's crazy because my freshman year, like the Vanderbilt does a good job of making sure that you have like all the resources and everything necessary so that transition coming to college is easy. But I would say one of the biggest things was it's crazy, but it was just a paper that I got. Like I had to write my freshman year. It was like a 10-page, 13-page paper that I had to write. And I'm like, I've never written a paper this long. And I was just like, wow, this is this is college. Like I think it's also because my strong suit is like numbers, math, stuff like that. So when I had to write a long paper, I was like, yo, this is crazy. And then it's like you stand up late, got, practice 6 a.m. weights on whatever day, or, you practice late and you tired. And, now after practice, I got to go straight to study hall. That was one thing that they had us do study hall freshman year. But so yeah, in terms of the academic side, it was just like freshman year was a lot in terms of workload, because I think it was just obviously it was a different workload than high school. But honestly, I think after getting a routine and being able to use all the resources necessary, I was able to transition well going into sophomore year. And then for workout wise, coming to college moment, ooh, that's a great question. I mean, so in the fall, obviously fall workouts are always like the hardest for preseason workouts in general. Um, we would do like what our coach then called 90-second runs, and my new coach calls jump runs. It's like basically like a really hard run, and then between the runs are like drills or like jumps or something like that. But it's just like it's super intense. It's the fall, so you're like not really in shape already. It's hot. Nashville gets super hot, especially in the summer. Um, so yeah, I would say the fall training for sure. I mean, but that's any sport, that's any athlete. Preseason workouts always gonna kill you. So yeah,
Yes. So then after that, what are some accolades you were able to achieve while running track in college?
yeah. Um, okay, where do I start? So as now, I graduated. So I graduated this past spring, May 23. Um, so I have the school record at Vanderbilt in the 300, the indoor, 400 indoor. Um, I want to say no. I'm second in the 800 indoor. I have, gosh, it's so many that I sometimes I try to lose count. The three, the four, the 800. I'm like first or second. I can't remember which one between indoor and outdoor. Um, and then the 4x4 relay. And I want to say the 4x1 relay. This is
Hmm.
crazy. I should know it off the top of my head, but I feel like our team has honestly just done so well that the records and like all the top five, top 10, like they go up and down so often. But yeah, I'm up there, at least top three for 2, 4, and 8, and the relays. And then I've gotten all SEC honors, all American honors in the 400 and the 800. Last year I was at the SEC championship. I placed third in the 800, um, and then made it to nationals both in the 400 and our relay, 4x4 relay. Um, last 2 years, I qualified there for the USA national championships, both in the
Hmm.
400 and the 800. This past year, I did it in the 400, or sorry, yes, the 400.
Okay. And with that, you saying that you graduated in May of 2023. What degree did you
Yeah.
graduate?
Okay, so I actually graduated my undergrad in 2022. 2022, I got my bachelor's degree. I was a double major. This is kind of a mouthful, but I was a double major. My first major was economics, and my second major is medicine, health, and society. And then I minored in business. And
Hmm.
then for my master's, I got my master's this past year and graduated in 23, and I got my master's in marketing, and that was a 1 year program. So at Vanderbilt, we're the Commodores. So when you get more than one degree, they call it a double door degree. I know it's
So
kind of
with
crazy. It's
that
kind of funny, but
now,
yeah.
so with that now, after you graduating and doing all these things, where are you at now, currently, in doing in your track career and your career
hmm
field?
So I just recently turned pro. So I am now running for Under Armour, and mission run. So sponsored by Under Armour, I run for Mission Run, Under Armour Mission Run Baltimore, an 800 meter group. And so I'm no longer doing the 400. I'm now focusing solely on the 800. And yeah, I'm located here in Baltimore. I literally just moved to Baltimore, like within, well, I got here literally 2 days ago, but before that, we were at training camp down in IMG Academy in Florida. So I'm actually like very new to the system and to the team. Haven't competed yet. Just been pretty much training and looking forward to compete. Hopefully this weekend, and then if not this weekend, going into the outdoor season here in a few weeks.
Okay. So how has that transition been, like coming from college into pro? And what is some advice that you have for people that may be in your position or are like in college right now?
Yeah. I would say the transition has definitely been a challenge. Not to say that that's, a bad thing at all, but one thing that I've had to, I mean, okay, so you have to have patience with a lot of things. Like, obviously, yeah, we all have big dreams and goals, and all the time it's not gonna happen, the way we want it to happen, laid out to be. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think for me, I think it's just, especially when you turn pro, everything, like, it's not as easy as college because everything isn't like laid out for you. Like, you pretty much are doing, it's an individual sport, track is already, but I feel like once you turn pro, it's like you notice it a lot more because I mean you're pretty much doing everything yourself. Or I mean you have to put in, you get out of it what you put on is basically what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so yeah, I think it's not a bad thing, but I think my biggest advice is just make sure that you continue to keep that same fire and that same ambition in everything that you had in college, even though it might not be as difficult. I think that's one thing that I'm kind of not struggling with, but still trying to navigate on how to stay true to, true to myself and true to my goals and true to my dreams and my ambition without feeling overwhelmed in the process because it is a little more challenging. But yeah.
My next question is, how is it for you to adjust? Like, so you say you were just running in Florida and now you're running in Baltimore. And
Yeah.
like, do you feel like, do you run slower or faster in the cold or the heat? Like, what are some differences that you see when you are having to run in the cold besides the heat?
Yeah. So when I first came to Baltimore, this honestly kind of goes to like what I was saying about the transition. Like back in Nashville, we had an indoor track, and so now in Baltimore, we don't have an indoor track, we just have an outdoor track. So it's one of the things that I'm like transition to, but it's like I can't let something as simple or as small as not being able to have that resource of indoor track like get to my head and not allow me to come to practice with the same intention and same intensity. And
Mm-hmm.
so to answer your question, I feel like I haven't gotten a full like scope of the Baltimore weather like year round because like I said, I've only been here for a little bit to say how much of a difference it'll make. But I will say it does get pretty cold here. I have had a few um, cold practices so far. Obviously, I prefer the warm weather. We are in indoor season now, so with competition, I don't have to worry about that because wherever I go to compete, I'll be inside. But with training, it is pretty difficult. But I mean, you just got to be prepared. Like, I mean, they provide us with all the gear we need to stay warm and stuff. So, um, I mean, just got to get the work done, really. Um, yeah, but I think that is not, I don't think it's going to be as bad as I thought it would be or as it seems like it could get. It was pretty cold for like 2 weeks when I first got here, but now the weather's starting to kind of even out a little bit where it's like right there in between. It's like not hot, but obviously not super cold. So I think it'll be fine.
Okay. And my next question is, how did you get your contract with Under Armour, and do you have an agent, and how does that process work?
Yeah, that was it's another big part of the transition that's kind of difficult. So, um, no, I do not technically have an agent. I did talk with multiple agents within my recruiting process, or I guess when I was graduating, trying to figure out how I'm gonna, enter the professional life. Because not all the time do you have to, have a sponsor and run for a team to go pro. You can, you can train on with your coach from college or whatever coach, whatever it may be, and just be unattached. But so long story short, I was reached out, a few agents reached out to me, and one of the agents that I was speaking with actually put me in contact with this team. I guess this team was recruiting me, and so from there, I just kind of started talking with the coaches. Eventually, set up a visit, and now I'm on the team. I am not with an agent, however, just because just formalities and technical things that I haven't worked out yet in terms of signing a contract with an agent. But I did get with this team through an agent that helped me out as well as my coach from college.
Okay. So with that in your contract of you running pro, I learned this in basketball, like some overseas people that I've learned that's like they can put
Hmm.
like certain things in their contract, like if they want a car, they put it in their contract. If they want
Oh no.
flights for their family to be free, they put it in their contract. Is that one of those things that doesn't track her?
No, no, not in mine. I mean, yeah, no, I can't speak for that. Our contracts, track and field, that's one thing about track and field. There's not that much money in track and field in general, unless you're, the top of the top. Um, but yeah, no, my contract is not giving me any cars or anything like that. It would be nice though. It would be nice. Maybe one day. The goal is always to reach for, more money, more, I guess, more, or whatever I'm trying to say, more things. So if I can, get to the point where I'm top of the top and I can put that in a contract, I sure will. But no, I can't do that now.
And when moving to Baltimore, did you drive yourself there from from Florida, so you didn't drive or you flew?
No, I didn't. No, that's too much driving. I flew from Kansas City to Baltimore, and then I was in Baltimore for like a week before our training camp started in Florida. And then we flew from Baltimore to Florida, and then I came back from Florida to Baltimore. And I had to just like ship my car because it would just been too long. I think the drive from Kansas City to Baltimore is like 16 hours, something like that. I don't know. Yeah, it would have been too long of a drive.
So with your pro, like turning pro, do you know if do you guys just do it inside of basically Baltimore? Are you guys traveling? Like, how does that work? Or do you know yet?
What are you asking? Do we do
Like,
what inside of
you
Baltimore?
guys travel and move around to different track meets? Is that's like the plan coming up for
Oh,
outdoor season?
yeah. Yeah. So, indoor season honestly is happening now. Actually, some of my teammates, everyone. So basically, everyone isn't always on the same plan. Ideally, we would all be on the same plan, but some people will go to some meets and others will go to other meets. So, um, so far, my team has competed in two indoor meets. I haven't competed yet though, but we have another indoor meet hopefully this weekend, and then I think after this coming weekend, I think most people will probably shut the indoor season down, and then we'll train into another training cycle, and then prepare for outdoor season. And so, but yeah, to answer your question, we travel all over for meets. I think for indoor, we try to stay more on the east side, East Coast. So I think this past week there was a meet at Boston University and in New York, I believe. But yeah, so once outdoor season comes, we'll kind of look at the schedule, see when meets are going around, and then figure out where we want to fly to.
Okay. Oh. So my next question, kind of reverting back to college. Do you remember who was like the fastest person that you ran against in college?
there's a lot of fast people in the SEC, and everybody fast. Like, it's not one person. So, I mean,
Or
yeah.
somebody that was just like crazy fast, because clearly you're up there with the fastest people, but it's like you said you got
Okay.
third, so somebody had to win before you, like the other two people, but it's like somebody that you just
Okay. Um, okay, yeah. So, in the SEC championship last year, I ran the 800 indoors SEC indoor championship. I got third. Second place was Britton Wilson, who now runs for Adidas, I believe, and went to Arkansas. And then first place was Michaela Rose from LSU. I'm trying to think. They're great athletes. They're very fast. Obviously, they have a lot of accolades. I think. Let me see. I mean, obviously, I've been. You mean like in like my actual heat? Like I ran against them, or you just talking about like in the
yes,
meet? Yeah,
somebody that's running against.
yeah. I mean, I ran against Britain in the 400 multiple times too, but she specializes in the four hurdles, and I don't run hurdles. Um, yeah. I mean, I would probably say her. Yeah.
So with you now specializing in the 800, and you said that you kind of started running in high school, what are some workouts that you do to be able to control your breathing? Because I know that's a big part of track, and controlling your breathing and while you're running so you're not running out of breath. And what are some different things you do, or some different workouts for track athletes that are watching this?
To control your breath.
Yeah, like
That's a great question. You know, it's actually ironic or crazy that you asked that because we just had this entire like breathing session that our coach, someone came in to talk to us about breathing, which was it was crazy because this is the first time that I actually like thought about it. Like usually you just kind of you just breathe, like you just run, you just do it. So I never really actually think about it. Um, I would say if the goal is to control breathing, I mean, and still get the work out of it. Like a lot of people like to try a lot of different cross training. So like if you're on the track 2 3 days a week, then like the other days of the week you're on a bike or elliptical or something that's you're able to get your heart rate up some, but you can still kind of control your breathing in that sense.
mm-hmm.
Um, that was actually, I mean, I actually did do my fair share of cross training now and in college. Just because it would not only does it help you, control breathing, but it's also really good when you're um, trying to take a lot of impact off your body, your legs and stuff. There's plenty of times where my body's aching and something's hurting me, so cross training was just what made sense at the time. Um, Gosh, I don't know if I know a specific like workout that's like you can control your breathing, but I guess tips that I would say is, I mean, when you're doing like any kind of cardio or tempo workout, it's just slow your breathing, and when you're exhaling, like exhale slow, and usually you want to do it through your nose. It's a lot harder, but you can gain a lot of more I guess you can strengthen your aerobic system if you breathe in and out through your nose instead of like always breathing out through your mouth. It's going to be hard to only breathe out through your nose, but if you try to incorporate that in some of your breathing, it'll help build your aerobic system. But yeah.
Okay. My next question is for track people. Like, what is the point? I'm not. What is the point? But at what point in time did you feel that you could be really good at track? Like, was it during college that you figured out that you could be really successful in track, or what point did it just click in your brain like, hey, I'm really good at this?
Yeah. I think I had two moments where it was like this light bulb came up over my head. One in high school and one in college. So in high school, I was running the 400, and I can't remember exactly. one of my teammates said this to me. I can't remember exactly what they said, but it was like alluding to, I think I maybe had run, I don't know, I had ran like 56 or something in the 400, 56, 57, something like that in the 400. And one of my teammates, I was talking to them and they were like, pretty soon you're going to be running 55 like it's easy. And I looked at them like, because they said it so confidently, more confidently than I would have ever thought. And so I kind of like had this moment like, why would you say, like, what makes you think that? And then like when I did it and I was like, wow, like that actually was a lot more attainable. I'm not gonna say it was easy, but it was a lot more attainable than I thought it was. And so when I realized that other people were seeing things in me that I didn't see, I was like, oh, I'm like, I'm actually pretty solid. Like I can be pretty good at this, especially with my work ethic and just general ambition. Like I could be pretty solid. And so I think that was another reason why I decided I wanted to do track in college over looking at like any like options with basketball or anything like that. So that was like my first like aha moment. And then in college, so first time I made it to nationals in college was my junior year in the 400, and it was at regionals in Jacksonville, Florida. Um, And I mean, I prepared for the race just like I prepared for any other race. But it was just something about it where it was like it was just such a fluid race. The entire meet was because in track you have to have it's not always just one race. You'll do like prelims and then you come back for semifinals, finals, all that stuff. And so it was just such a good sequence of events in terms of my races. And like within that one weekend, I ran what like two or three personal bests. I had in the quarterfinals or whatever the one is right before the final, I ran like 52.8, and was it 50 or no, it was 52.4, I think. And it was a PR for me at that time, and it was just like I felt really good, I looked good, and I just went out there and did it. And then I came back for the final, and this was the race that was going to determine whether I went to nationals. And I think the goal in my head was always that I want to go to nationals, but I don't think it was always that like I'm good enough to go, or that like it's gonna be attainable or easy for me to run out here and
Mm-hmm.
run this time and make top 12. But yeah, like I just like it's crazy because I remember starting the race and I remember finishing the race, but I barely remember anything in between. And I think it's just because I just let myself I let my body and my legs take me through the race without thinking overthinking it too much. And yeah, and then I ran 51. That was the first time I ran 51. Ran 51.8 or 51.9, I believe, and I made it to nationals as a junior. And I was just like, whoa, like this is crazy. Like I wasn't expecting it, but I was expecting it. But it's just like when it actually happened, I was like, man, I can be pretty good at this. And then from that point on, I made it to nationals each other year. The next year, I made it to internationals, and then I made it to outdoor nationals, and I made it to nationals ever since then. So, yeah.
Okay. So now, outside of track, what are some things that you did during college to kind of like some things that you just did out of college and college to just step away from track or just like relax yourself because that's a lot of time consuming. Track is time consuming and school.
Um, it's a great question because it's something that even to this day, like I'm still trying to figure out because uh, we always know, sports at some point will end, and track is never my identity. It's just something that I do that I enjoy doing. Um, so honestly, I still struggle with that because when you when you spend so much time into put so much time into one thing that you love, it's like it it's hard to have other hobbies, but it is possible. But I will say that so I started braiding in college. So like I would start my own little business, and I would always braid like my teammates. It started off with me braiding my teammates' hair, and then like other girls from other teams were like, oh, can you braid my hair? And so then I started like okay, I like braiding hair, so let me start doing this on the side. And I think that was one thing that like when I was done practicing my work for the day, it was just like something that I could do, just sit back, chill, braid hair, have conversations with my friends, watch movies and stuff like that. um So that was one thing that I did. In Nashville, there's a lot to do. Like that's another reason why I love going to Vanderbilt because it wasn't just like a small college town with nothing to do. So a lot of times my teammates and I we would, go out to restaurants or, go to Top Golf, go see a movie, whatever it may be. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. Honestly, I just try to find time. I guess the biggest thing is just finding time to spend with my friends and not talk about track all the time. So like we would binge watch shows together in our dorm. We would, bake brownies together, cook a meal, or do whatever it may be. Um, but yeah.
So now, when do you feel like, not when do you feel, but when track is over, what and how way are you going to use your career path? Like what you got your degree in? Like what do you see yourself
hmm
doing in your field?
Yeah. So I got my master's in marketing. Like I said, my bachelor's in economics. I really like marketing. I really see myself finding a way to bring the two together, or if not, I could go separate ways with it and just do marketing in general. But um, I could see myself doing some sports marketing. I think that's another good thing about that I'm fortunate about working with Under Armour, because hopefully that'll open up some opportunities for me in terms of sports marketing, product marketing, and stuff like that with them. So ideally, that would be something, the transition I would like to make down the road. Um, but we'll see where it takes me.
Okay. And while you were in college, it was NIL deals came into place. How do you feel about NIL deals, and what way do they help you or help track athletes in general?
Man, they helped a lot. Honestly, I'm fortunate that I got what I basically got 2 full years of NIL deal. I mean, I wish they started it sooner. I think it's um, a great opportunity for athletes to build their brand and make some money on the side too. I think that it's obviously going to be different between sports and between athletes. Like for instance, like football athletes were doing a lot bigger deals than I was doing as a track athlete, but I think that it at least opens the door for conversation and allows people or allows athletes to um, make some money. Honestly, I did a lot of my NIL deals came from post game, so they were like a third party that basically um, provided the relationship between whatever brand wanted to work with athletes. And I think a lot of other apps like that were the most helpful for me because I use
Mhm.
them. I use Open Doors. I use another app called Mogul. Because in the beginning, it was like you reach out. I mean, you can reach out to any brand that you want to and ask them. And for me, I got a lot of brands that were like, oh yeah, we're interested, but I think that because it was so new, they didn't really understand what that might look like, so they never really followed through, or I guess a few did, but not all of them. And so it was nice to kind of have those other organizations help kind of bring the two together. So, but yeah, I mean, even to this day, I'm still like doing some of the
That's
NIL stuff that I was doing. Yeah, like I mean, I think, like I said, I think it's something that people are still trying to figure out because I mean, I still have access to all of those apps and I can apply for any, gigs or whatever, or any content, whatever, for the brands to post. And basically, they're just, I mean, from what I think, they just base it off of, your following and all of that stuff. Um, but yeah, like, I mean, I've still done some deals now. I'll probably have to be a little more uh cautious or careful about it now that I have the Under Armour contract. So I probably like obviously I can't do it with any other like sportswear brands, but anything that's like outside of that, like um I don't know, I did one with like Coke Zero and like Stanley, like the cup, the brand. So
I mean, they going
those were
crazy
all
on them Stanley Cups.
yeah, they really are. It's a pretty cool bottle. I mean, I don't know if it's worth the hype, but I mean
Fair
that's
enough.
marketing for you. I mean, I can't be mad at it because it's good marketing. So, yeah.
Okay, okay. My next question is, what do you want to leave as your final impact on track?
Where, or you said what do I want to
What
leave?
impact do you want to leave? Like your final thing when you're done running, what's the impact that you want to leave on?
Yeah, that's a great question. I keep going back and forth on whether or not I want to um coach at all. Um, I think that I think that I could be a very good coach, and I think that I would enjoy it a lot. I think that right now it's just hard to see that because my goals and my dreams are competing myself right now. But one thing that I have really appreciated in my time as an athlete and track in general is the mentors and the coaches that I've had. I've yet to have, thankfully, a coach that I didn't like or didn't appreciate, or like I feel like with all my coaches, I've had very good relationships with them. Especially my last coach in college, Coach AT, and then my coach before that, Coach Donnie was at Vanderbilt before that, and then my coaches in high school, Coach People that I said helped me get to Vanderbilt. And I can go down a list, Coach CB from KC, like I can go down a list of all my coaches. And I think I've just been very appreciative of all the resources, all the insight, and all the stuff that I've gotten from them that I feel like I just have to do my due diligence to give it back to other athletes and
Mm,
just help them get to where they want to be in general going, whether it's in high school, college, pro, whatever it may be. Um, so yeah, I think I want to leave the same impact on other athletes as my coaches have left on me because that's kind of where has what got me where I am now.
okay. And my last question is, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
This you sound like my mom. Where do you want to be in 5 years? I mean, it's crazy. I hate the question, but I mean, it's something that we all have to think about. Um, in 5 years, so well, let me count. 5 years is we in 2024, so it's an Olympic year. My goal is to make it to the Olympics. In 5 years, there will be another Olympics, 2028, which is in LA. Or yes, this year's Paris and 28 is in LA. I honestly, it would be a dream to, yeah, it would be a dream to compete at the 2028 Olympics in LA, in the States, have, all my family, all my friends be able to see that. I think that would be like, that's
I'm gonna go.
top of my list.
If you go there,
Like,
I'm
that's top
gonna
of my list.
go. I'm gonna go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, like, honestly, me being so, like, obviously, it's my first year as a pro, but I'm also pretty new in, I don't want to say the sport, but the 800 in general. Like, I think I know that with a few years of training and just transitioning to this new professional life is definitely attainable, and I definitely will be there. So that's top of my list. And then another thing we talked about, like stuff outside of sports. I definitely want to tap into more marketing stuff and try to be able to um, you know, if I can now, so do some sports marketing outside of track, part time, or try to build my own business or whatever it may be. I just want to tap into something else outside of track and field. Get more involved in the community here in Baltimore now that I'm here in a new environment. So
I
it's a lot. It's a lot. I honestly probably should make a list of five of things I want to be have done in 5 years, but um,
you
that's
should.
top of my list. That's top of my list. I know. I know.
And while you're in Baltimore, you should go to DC and get these wings that my cousin told me. I forgot what they're called, but they're really good. I think they're called
Oh,
Mambo wings. You know what I'm talking about?
they call what?
Mambo wings. Mambo wings. I forgot.
Mm-mm. No, but I've heard a lot of good things about DC. I have friends that live there, so I've been there actually a few times now. But I definitely will look for the links.
I can say, and marketing on the East Coast, New York is right there, so that's a big mecca for marketing, especially sports marketing. So
Yeah,
you should be able to do.
yeah, yeah.
Sure. For sure. Well, Guys, it's Super Bowl Sunday. If you're watching this, it's not gonna get uploaded on Super Bowl Sunday. But if you're watching this before the Chiefs win,
Yes.
so
Chiefs Kingdom.
thank you guys for watching, and thank you Taya for coming on here and talking to us. And when she's on the Olympics in 2028, come back to
Or
this,
4. Or 2024 this year.
or 2024, come back to this video. And yeah, I don't even know what to do, but just come back to the video. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
just come back to just know what happened. Just you heard it here first.
Josie manifested it on this video. Okay, guys? But
Mhm.
yeah, this is the first track athlete on here, and you guys know it had to be a woman, Black Power, you know. So yeah,
Period.
thank you
Black
guys
History
for
Month.
watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and tune into more episodes, more videos coming. And if Tay really is in the Olympics coming up, y'all, I'm putting a clip of her in here. I'm putting another clip. But thank y'all for watching, and tune into more episodes. And the Chiefs won for y'all. Pre one. Hopefully they win.